wait. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Breath. Should I do it with you?
Service here. I just want to go over a few logistics. The first is bathrooms. We have 3 bathrooms. You can use any one of the 3. There's one here in the studio. There are 2 in the house, and there are signs directing you to that house. Feel free to use the property too, with the adage of generosity, a heart of generosity, and a sense of abundance for both us and for all. Practically speaking, we give in a way both sustainable for us and as a means to sustain the teacher in order that she or he may continue offering the teachings that we wish to receive. So if you have any questions, I'm going to be at this table at the end of the retreat. You can ask me, you can make a donation then, or you can still make a donation from Venmo and PayPal. So yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know about anything. That's about it. And I think I will go get Tori and we'll get started.
meeting is being recorded.
Good. Oh, goodness, all these people I just love so much. Oh my God. Oh. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody here. It's so sort of weird, surrealistic having all these people here and here. So welcome everybody. This feels like such a celebration to be together like this. So I feel honored to be with you all. And you're all such incredibly special people to me. So to have you all in one room, whew, I feel like it's like we're getting married or something. So I wish we could just be in one big, huge circle instead of like this. This feels very formal. And right now I would rather not be formal. So I want to begin with a meditation. And everything that I might teach today is touched on by our practice. So it's a good place to start. And I don't know about you, but I need a little help settling at the moment. So anything that we touch on in practice is our way of also just touching the Dharma. So there's many levels of practitioner here. And so I'm going to be guiding for a lot of this, and there'll also be a lot of silence. But if you can't hear me, please just speak up. I think you're muted. Speaking again. People are saying. Oh, that's what somebody said. Does it work now? Can you hear me now? Brett can hear you. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so just find a comfortable position with a straight back and feel free to close your eyes. And I'd like to begin just by bringing our intention that whatever comes from this practice and this time together and our love for one another, may it be of great benefit in any way possible to all beings. So just bring this sense, maybe even just imagine all the ecosystems of the world, all the mountains and deserts and prairies and the jungle, rivers and oceans, the cities, space, and just imagine all of those beings in all of those ecosystems. And may we just open our hearts and our minds to all of those beings. And may this be a benefit in some way, small or large, to all of you. And just notice in this moment what it's like to be you. With no thinking about that, just feel and sense the quality of your emotional being, the quality of your mind and your body. Just sense
what it's like to be you. There's no right, no wrong. And feel your pelvic floor nestled up against your cushion or your chair. So you really feel grounded. Nestle it into the cushion or chair and feel the lift of your body up from your pelvic floor. So there's sort of a grounded elegance. And just let yourself listen to the sounds, the wind and the birds and the breathing, the saw. And then just find your breath. As if your diaphragm was a jellyfish in that very fluid, sweeping way that a jellyfish moves in the water. All the way up to the top of your head and down to the soles of your feet. This jellyfish is moving in that very sweeping, undulating way. And just rest your awareness in your low belly. And just sense the breath as it moves your low belly. And can you relax even more? Let the little, tiny little fibers of your tendons and ligaments, your brain, your muscles, let that relax even more. Just letting go in this moment of your busy, scheduled, filled lives. And just let whatever's happening happen. And you just keep returning to this sweeping, gentle breath. When you return to this breath, notice the quiet. Even with all the sounds around you, there is a quiet stillness. Deep inside. Orient your awareness towards that quiet. And feel it, sense it in your body as it permeates into your tissue. Sense the quiet. Notice how the sounds and the movement arise out of the quiet and returns back into that stillness and that silence. And every time you want to grab hold of a thought, or you want to solidify something, anything, see what it's like to just say to yourself, I don't know. I really don't know. Or just don't know. And let the solidification just relax again. So you can literally relax the muscle of your brain. I don't know. And let that I don't know be felt throughout your whole body. Down into your core, your muscles. Such freedom there in not having to know. And when all the thoughts cease, what remains? Don't go looking for that with your mind. Just feel in your body. And the mind isn't thinking, what's here? What remains? What never goes away? And just rest in that. Rest in the silence of that. So just stay in this quiet with your eyes closed for a bit. And I'm going to just help us deepen a little bit more. The unknown is what we are not conscious of. And the unconscious is as big as the cosmos. So our sitting together in this way is a way to gain access to this vast realm of the unconscious. And if we sit in this not knowing, then meditation is a way to get to know what is unknown and what can't be known with the mind. Everything in your conscious minds with thoughts and feelings, perceptions, just leave them alone. Don't fiddle with them. It's not going to help you explore the vast, mysterious realm below into the unconscious. Silence is the most important part of our spiritual practice. We often say, there's the finger pointing at the moon, and there is the moon itself. The finger pointing at the moon are all the teachings, and the moon is the experience. So in the silence, we get to become the moon. It is the most intimate thing we can do is to rest in this silence, especially when we're all together like this. It's like sitting in the eye of the hurricane. So intimate and so quiet. Just feel it in your body. Even if your mind is busy and active, don't worry about it. That busyness arises out of that vast quiet. The human lifespan is just one human breath. Just this one breath is everything there is. There's nothing else until the next breath. One breath in and one breath out. So we must go beyond the naming mind, the mind that lists and orders things, judges and polarizes things, the mind that is about me and my own safety. We might call that the egoic mind. And we go beyond that to find this place where, as Meister Eckhart says, God is nowhere, meaning nowhere the naming mind can find. The place where a diagnosis of ALS or any of the endless things that we as humans confront is not affected. The place where we were never born and we will never die. That endless, vast, mysterious place of the soul. And we must call on this deep ally by giving ourselves over to this silent breathing. This silence allows us to drop beneath the suspended net of illusion, which the strategic mind throws across reality in order to contain it, all the while trying to keep us safe. But this strategic naming mind is not an ally to any deeper relationship to the wild, heartbreaking, vast, endless, totally complete, mysteriousness that is reality. Nor is it an ally to real love or lasting happiness. So in this sustained, bodily, attentive silence, we have the possibility to drop down into the quiet, intimate, available part of us, not content with easy names or easy answers. Thus, we rest in not knowing. And there we find a natural, courageous explorer, calling us over the barrier our mind created. The mind that says, this is life and that is death, and I'm going to cling to life and run as fast as possible away from death. If we listen to this impulse, we can hear it calling us over any boundary our mind has created. To a place where the adventure is quickened and the mystery is vivid and so clear. To the place filled with such intimate love for all, even the things we have perceived as obstacles, and are left in its most generous affection for everything. All the disappointments, the failures, the frustrations, the people, the things, all of it. This is a poem by Antonio Machado. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, blessed illusion, that there was a spring breaking out in my heart. I said, along what secret aqueduct are you coming to me, O water, water of a new life that I have never drunk? Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, oh, blessed illusion, that there was a beehive here in my heart. And the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, blessed illusion, that there was a fiery sun here in my heart. It was fiery because it gave warmth as if from a hearth. And it was sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, such a blessed illusion, that there was God here in my heart. So this presence has been here all along, but has been smothered by our to-do list and all the things we think we need to do to deserve love, respect, and a place here on earth. To be human means our lives are a journey. There's no final spot to end up, but rather just pages being turned in an endless book where death is just another page being turned. Remember that the story is never over. Whatever you think is the end of the story will continue to unfold for eternity. So our work is the ever deepening embodiment where just being present with what is here right now, sense to the body, is the way. So again, just come back to the sensation in the body, nestled against your cushion or your chair, your breath in your belly. We will all travel in our own unique way, in our own wounded body, limping and falling and leaping and running. So let yourself be undone, undone from the trying to know, the trying to please, the trying to name, the trying to list. And let yourself be undone, just even in this moment. Let yourself unravel to the most elemental part of you. You will be safe. Feel this undoing, this not knowing, this silence. And as the French philosopher Albert Camus said, and then live to the point of tears. Oh. So it is difficult to teach about death, your own in particular, because to die well, you really have to just be right here in the moment. So if I'm to rest in not knowing, I couldn't plan too much, even though I have 11 pages of notes here. So I'm going to just talk at first a bit about my own experience as an avenue into teaching. Later, we'll do some contemplations and we'll have time for questions and sharing of thoughts and feelings. But primarily, I want to be with all of you and really look death in the face and see it as a beautiful, beautiful part of existence. This natural cycle of life. So this will most likely be messy and impeccable all at the same time. Just so hopefully we'll be able to laugh together and cry together and just be our beautiful, messy selves. So one of the first things that came to me when I was given the diagnosis that I had ALS and the understanding, and I'm going to be very frank with all of you, and I want you to know that I am extraordinarily open to any questions or thoughts. There's nothing that is taboo or too weird to ask me or to talk about. And that's part of what is such an important thing, to be able to sit together and be able to talk about death so openly. But when I was given the diagnosis that I had ALS and the understanding that every muscle in my body would slowly become paralyzed, even my ability to swallow, to speak, and eventually to breathe, and that I will likely die within the next couple of years from that, was how can I help others live a life knowing they will die? How can I help others get clear on what is important and what is real? And actually, the very first thing that came to mind when the doctor told me was the comfort I found in knowing that I could choose the noble spiritual option of taking my own life if the suffering became too much. And then I thought about helping all of you. But so Irvin Yalom says, the adult that is racked with death anxiety is not some exotic bird who has contracted some exotic disease, but a man or woman whose family and culture has failed to knit them their protective clothing to withstand the icy chill of mortality. So we need to let death in the room, and we need to get comfortable with our own mortality so that we can live. So let's talk about death, my death, your death, death in life, all of death. It's just one big, as I said before, just this book that is continually, the pages are turning endlessly. So first of all, I'm often asked, how am I doing? How am I living? What am I learning? And I guess where I want to begin is I want to say that I do not see my diagnosis as a problem. Life is being life. As Trogam Trungpa said, he said, life is flexible, fickle, and ruthless. And what he meant, I think, by that is that life is flexible. It doesn't go in a straight line. It just goes wherever it's going to go, and it's fickle in that we don't know it's going this way and suddenly it turns this way and now it turns this way and we don't know, and it's ruthless because it doesn't give a fuck about our ego, right? And so from that perspective, life is being life completely. It doesn't mean that I'm not taken to my knees with grief at times or terror by the process of what the process might be here. But I don't feel as though life is out to get me or that there was a mistake. I do not ask why. And I say that to everybody in whatever stage we are in our living or our dying, is to cease the question of why. Because then we're available, then we're freed up. We're not in this state of looking back, trying to figure out, carrying all of our regrets and all of our worries. It doesn't matter now. Now we are experiencing what's here and we go forth. So I don't ask why. And as soon as I think that life is out to get me or that there is some mistake, I go into a victim, and I am not a victim. All these causes and conditions came together to create this situation and that situation and that situation. I can't say I'm thrilled about it, but I am not in resistance to it. As soon as I resist, I suffer. So what does it mean to not resist? I'm speaking very personally because I feel as though I don't want to speak abstractly. I want to speak really about my own experience. So what does it mean to not resist? I don't struggle against things. Meaning if I feel profound grief, I feel it into the marrow of my bones. And when it passes, I don't go back and pick it up. I let it move through me letting it go, and maybe I'll be taken by the blue sky or the sound of the birds or my love for somebody else, and maybe that grief will come sweeping back in, and then I feel it to the marrow of my bones. But if I go and pick it back up, I could be in a state of grief until the day that I die. All of you have had so many losses in your life, and we all could stay in that state of holding on. I get these horrible cramps now in my legs, and so I just have to let this cramp pass. Just like that, it's gone. It's perfect. Is that sense that we can go and be holding on to something and feel as though we're not getting over our grief or our loss or whatever. I have people who come to practice with me or to work with me as a client who say, I've been in grief for 40 years over my husband or whatever who died, and they never had put it down. So it's the trusting that you're doing your work. If you just let yourself penetrate the experience through the body, and then you'll go and pick it back up. If it needs to be felt again, it'll come back. I'm not taking any of this personally. So death is unbelievably humiliating to the ego. It is the most humiliating thing that can happen to the ego. And I try to remember that, of course, it will feel like that to the ego because it's the ego's job to survive and to keep me safe. So it's pissed, right? But it's not personal. In Buddhism, the image of equanimity is a table that is set with these beautiful table settings, and they're all equally beautiful. And one of the settings is for joy and for beauty and for love and bliss and pain and war and starvation and hatred. It's all equally invited to the table. And that feeling of equanimity is we invite it all equally to the table. And that, I would say, if to put it as simply as possible, it's not judging. And so not judging what arises, not judging yourself, not judging others. Because as soon as we resist, we're taken again out of balance. So that teaching of no preference, that is like mind-boggling, to have no preference. But imagine living your life that way. Imagine living in that state of no preference. It doesn't mean we don't stop or go and get help with something that we need to have help with, or we try to fix something. But it's not coming because we hate this and we like that. We want more of that and less of that. It's because that is just the natural thing that we do, right? Something naturally is wanting to be served or helped or fixed. We do, but the attachment to that is less. And I'll talk more about attachment in a little bit. But I'm trying to see this diagnosis as best I can, even though as I say, I'm not thrilled about it. So, but at times when I can, this sense of no preference, which is this sense of that if we stay connected to life, then I can't have the preference about no death because they're one and the same. You can't have one without the other, just like the yin yang symbol. I can't have this life without knowing that I will die. This is the gift of having a diagnosis, right? It gets in your face. You can't forget it. So I'm letting myself cleave from what I love and still be with it, to still love it. What I mean by that is, so I ask often, what is it to let go? And it is hard. I think it is so hard as a human to let go. We are not designed very well to let go, right? We just kind of like to hold on to stuff. And my feeling is that it is letting go of attachments, not the thing we are attached to, but to our psychological attachment to the thing, which is the stingy, sticky, clingy part we feel, not the thing itself, right? I might just totally dig on hamburgers, and I might stay attached to eating hamburgers as long as I can put anything in this mouth, but I'm not going to hold on to the sticky, clingy part about my love for the hamburger. Does that make sense? You all know that sticky, clingy part, which is the part that says, that thing may possibly save me. And so I'm going to hold on so tight to it in case it has the opportunity to save me. And that is the cleaving. That it's still enjoying the pleasures of things, the person, the love, the natural world, my dog, without the sticky part that feels like maybe it's going to save me. Even though I think my dog could save me. I think there's a high likelihood of that. So it's loving with all of my being and feeling the pain of losing the thing I am loving and still loving. Like, can you feel the paradox of that? We want, when we push this, when we cleave from something, we want to stop loving it because it is too hard. But there's something about being able to cleave from it, from that sticky quality, and still stay in a place of loving. There was a period of time a few years ago when I was just obsessed with reading near-death experiences. I'm so grateful for it now. It's interesting that I had that experience. And I often lean into that, what I found out. So I read every book that was out there, and I wrote to authors and had them send me hundreds of near-death experiences. And what I came away with from reading just so many of them was how in our humanness, we can only see so much of reality. It's just the physical limitation of our humanity is we can only see so much of reality. And that beyond that, when we're freed of the human form, we have the ability of seeing beyond that, the humanness, into a vastness that is so beyond, a beauty that is so beyond what we physically can see. I think that's why meditation allows us to begin to see beyond what just our day-to-day reality allows us. It gives us a little taste into that. But in these near-death experiences, what people would describe is this opening up, this sort of freedom from the human form into seeing the amount of wisdom and freedom and beauty that is out there. But in the biggest thing that all of them said is that if we knew how much love there was, if we knew how held we were in that love, we would live our lives now differently. And that shook me to the core, that there is love just holding us so close, and we are blinded to it. And we walk through our life with it knocking on us saying, we're right here. And so it's if we could know that life is actually very beneficent, and that it doesn't mean beneficent like I'm going to not make you die, but it's beneficent in the sense that it is loving us so much. So I just take a moment and feel that sense of how you might live your life differently if you live that close to the bone of love. And there's so much that's cliche about that. We kind of talk about it all the time, but like really just take a moment and feel as if you were just swimming, that you are so loved, not only by spirit and by reality and existence, but by life and others, your beloveds. I know that this land and the spirit of this land loves me because I can feel it. And when people come onto this land, I have this sense that that spirit and the land just like wanting you to be here so it can love you too. So for the first 2 weeks after I got the diagnosis, I would wake up in the middle of the night in this fight or flight terror. And I would say to myself, of course you would feel that. Of course you would feel that. Of course I would feel this way. And I want to say that to all of you, get to know those words. Of course I would feel that way. About anything, of course I would feel that way. Tender, 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 so tender that we have these emotions and reactions to our existence. We are extremely sensitive and vulnerable beings. Of course, I feel that way. And I forgive myself often for the messiness of this calamity I call my life, and for my fallibilities and when I forget. And sometimes in that process, I realize that I want to stay busy and not feel. I want to not be intimate with this experience. I want to not stop. Because it can be really, really scary to stop. Everybody has their own form of whatever that means. But each time I stop and listen and penetrate whatever the experience is, I meet with Source once again, as all of you can and do. And that vast space of intimacy with all things is so close. It's me again. And I know yet again that I can do this. And there is great comfort in the list and in getting shit done. I can't tell you how comforting it can be sometimes. And sometimes I just need to do it. Just like whatever your thing is that you do, you just need to do it sometimes. And we say, of course. But I ask myself at those times, am I doing what is true in my heart, or am I doing this out of a should or out of my conditioning? And so imagine asking that of yourself every moment of your life. Am I doing this out of truth and out of intuition and out of love? Or am I doing this out of some way that I will gain some deserving of being on the planet, some love, some should? It's shocking. We'll talk about this more later on when we do some contemplations, but I just want to say it is shocking to ask that question day in and day out and to peel back the layers of the conditioning. I think you'll be surprised that often we think we're doing something out of some want to do that, some clean, pure sense of this is the path, even if something we don't really want to do, but there's a general sense of that's where we're going. that we start to peel that back and we realize it is still being driven in some way by something deeper that is in our conditioned self. And I would say if I have something that is my work before I die, it's that. So keep peeling that back and asking that question over and over. And I'm just like every day is a deeper curiosity because I find more deeply that I'm unraveling the conditioning, and there will be conditioning that I will never be able to unravel. Of course. I think of death like, or the knowledge of death is kind of like a sifter, you know, where you put flour in and you sift through. And what doesn't matter gets sifted out. And what remains then? And for me, it is relationship. Relationship to my dog, to my family, to my beloveds, to the natural world, to spirit, and to the relationship to the process, which is really what I'm finding is like, that's what remains, is a relationship to the process. And if I can stay in relationship to the process, to the journey, then I'm free. And so I listen deeply, often, not with my mind, but with that part of me that is in that quiet space. I ride the knife edge of now, whether now is this gratitude for all the people in my life, or if it's a wave of grief. And when I ride the knife edge, one side, if I get off the knife edge, is dissociation. I dissociate from the process. And the other side is resistance. I don't want this to be happening. I don't like this. I'm whatever. And on either side, when I fall off the knife edge, I suffer. Right? Because you can only dissociate for so long. And sometimes we have to dissociate and we say, of course. But if I stay in that dissociation, I end up suffering. So it is a very, very fine balance to stay on that knife edge. And I'm constantly falling off. And the way that I teach spirituality and the way that I live my life and the way I see staying on that knife edge is that it is all about a course correction. There is no like, nailed it. It's about, you know, we go off a little bit. We said, no, we come back. Oh, we go off a little bit. We come back. It's just course correcting. This whole thing, all of nature is a course correction, right? Because it gets a little too much water, a little too much sun, it changes its growth, it does this, it does that, right? You'll never get it right, but you'll get it perfect. Trungpa Rinpoche used to say, if you ever go to the hell realm, try to stay there. What do you think he meant by that? Really, what do you think he meant by that? If you ever get to the hell realm, try to stay there. Stay in the discomfort until it passes. And then don't go pick it back up. But the beauty of staying, when you hit that hell realm, right? It's all of it. There's something in that is like, be conscious of what's arising, use it, penetrate it. Use it to penetrate it all the way through till you break through on the other side to that vastness once again, right? And the way we penetrate it again is through our body. And he would say that in this sort of like just smacking you off center to get you to go, why would I want to stay in the hell realm, right? So it's not to try to stay there, it's to let it be what wakes you up. I fell off my electric bike, my first ride with Carly the other day. Where's Carly? Carly's there. Yes, Carly knows I fell off my electric bike and I skinned my knee. So my knee is very sore. It's just learning how to have this body that will change in a week and a new bicycle that has all these speed things, and it didn't work real well. Anyway, I choose the clear, clean, honest path of turning toward my death rather than spinning out towards turning towards hope. When I first put out my this update to list of friends and family, I got a number of responses back saying, here's a possible cure because you just need hope. And I would write back and say, I don't need hope, because it takes me off of that clear, precise, beautiful knowing and space. And yet it's one of the gifts of this pretty awful disease. And I just want to let you all know that things that I am going to be doing, as I will be working with the ALS clinic and a naturopath in California who works with ALS. That's not to cure me. That is to help with symptoms so that I might have a little mobility for a little bit longer, or might be able to swallow a little bit longer, or talk a little bit longer, but it won't save me. And so one of the symptoms, I mean, you can't make shit like this up. I'm not kidding. This is one of the symptoms, is uncontrollable emotional states of uncontrollable crying and laughing. So if I start to laugh uncontrollably when you tell me like your mother's sick, just have peace and comfort in me, okay? Because it's like that. I mean, that's the kind of, it's like, wow, who came up with that one? So that's the kind of thing that I might be able to get some help with. Some of these, some of the drugs that are out there can help with some of that uncontrollable emotions. And if I cry right now, it's not because I have an uncontrollable emotion. So the koan that I rest in all day long is not knowing is most intimate. So I feel in my body the intimacy with all things when I give up the trying to know, the trying to nail things down, to pin things down, trying to solidify things, my projections, my thoughts, when I try to nail down life, when I try to nail down others. And every time I want to tighten, I try to relax. Relax, even just right now as you're sitting, just relax your body, relax your mind. I know I will die, and I know all of you are going to die, and I know nothing else really with my mind. But I know so much in my heart. And when I don't try to pin something down and I rest in not knowing, then I am available to the knowing in my heart. Don't clutter by trying to nail things down and to know. You know so much. You know what you need to know. And in my heart, I know what is source. And I try to rest in that is not affected by ALS. By Bella Ruth Naparestic. Thank you too. Just give me this, a rinsing out, a cleansing free of all my smaller strivings, so I can be what God intended, true to my purpose, all my energy aligned behind my deepest intention. And just this, a quieting down, a clearing away of internal ruckus. So I can hear the huge stillness in my heart and feel how I pulse with all of creation, part and parcel of your great singing ocean. And this too, a willingness to notice and forgive the myriad times I fall short, forgetting who I really am, what I really belong to. So I can start over fresh and clean like sweet sheets billowing in the summer sun, my heart pierced with gratitude. So I focus on gratitude, and I am so profoundly grateful for all of you. So I'd like to just open it up for a little bit and for questions or feelings, shares, and then we'll take a little break. But I just want to see what's moving in people right now. Or
Do we need to use that to?
supposedly everybody, they can hear. So if you can't hear when the questions are asked, let Kathy know through the chat. Hi, everyone in there. Forgetting about it. I haven't forgot about it.
So for this, you talk about penetrating the experience. And I know the gist of what you mean. But I think it would be helpful to, if you would slow that down and maybe use a different word or some different words.
Yeah, thank you.
Please.
So let's close our eyes for a moment, and I want you to feel whatever is here for you right now. Maybe there's lingering something from something happened this morning. Somebody pissed you off, or you had that dream, or you're super excited about the breakfast burrito you had, or you're sitting here bored to tears, or you're really moved, or you're freaking out. Just feel whatever you're feeling right now. But when I say feel it, as if you could describe it in your body, in your own words, so I could understand it in my own body. So feel it in, it might be sharp or tingly or heavy or bright or tingle, fuzz, expanding, dropping, anything. Just see if you can feel it in your body like that. And where in your body? What's the texture? And then notice how it begins to shift. I promise if you were to sit with this really present without your mind, it would be gone within a minute and a half. That's what the research shows. It would change and you'd be experiencing something else. This is the penetrating of experience. Does that help? Yeah.
Can you describe then that 4 a.m. waking up with that terror? Because I think a lot of us know that one. And so yeah, so of course you're feeling that, and then how do you work with it?
Yeah. Can they hear them? Are people being able to hear? So the first thing I do is I become aware that that's what's happening. And even just that, just the knowing, right, I'm terrified. There's just so much unknown. oh, there's a panicky, there's fight or flight, there's, there's all this that's arising. And then I say, of course, because there's something about meeting that is arising in the oogly googly times of the middle of the night.
Do you repeat the question?
The question was, what do we do in the middle of the night when we have like the terror that arises? How do I work with that? That there's something about meeting that with the consciousness and then the tenderness that we're not saying we're wrong. We're saying that there's a deep sort of understanding of it. By turning our attention towards the understanding of it, rather than the story of what's arising, then it shifts from the body gets to go in the midst of the terror. I am seen and I am held and I am safe. There's some safety about just knowing that we're seeing it for what it is. And the saying, of course, of it is an understanding of it. But can you feel the difference between just getting captured in it and cycling it? So as soon as we stop cycling it and to watch the pull to go back towards it, what I do is I can feel that there's such an impulse to go back because I think I'll be safer if I think about it. Right? If I think it and I can see it, right? It's not going to get me. And the problem is the getting me is the thinking about it. It already has me. Right? So it's one. So more what I say, I see you. Of course you would feel that way. I understand. And now I'm going to feel the impulse to go back to you. But I don't go back. I feel the impulse. And I let myself experience what's arising, the penetrating without the story. I really keep dropping the story. And that's just over and over and over, just coming back to just sweet self.
And feeling the heartbeat.
The heart,
Yeah.
the heart racing and whatever. And then I come back to the breath. And the jellyfish breath in particular, because why I started that way is because it is that breath is very helpful in bringing us from a fight or flight back into a parasympathetic state of rest and digest. So that really flexible diaphragm and that sense of really breathing into the low belly just physiologically brings us back.
Reminds me so much what Thich Nhat Hanh says when a baby's crying, a mother or father, a good parent will pick the baby up. That feels like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Holding yourself.
What she said was that what Thich Nhat Hanh says is when a baby is crying, that the mother or father, a good mother or father, will go and scoop the baby up when the baby is crying. Right? Because the baby is not a bad baby. The baby is saying, I'm afraid, or I'm hurting, or I'm whatever.
You were talking about when the books you read about people who die and come back, that love that they feel, and that it's here. Is that with these bodies, can we feel the extent of that, or is that the last layer that we let go?
The love.
Yeah.
So Heather was asking in the near-death experiences and the people experiencing the love that was available to them, can we in the human body experience that depth of it? I don't know, but I can say that I know for myself that in letting in, well, the only way I can describe it is knowing that happens lets me into something that I can't do if I didn't know that happened. That makes sense? It's like there's a knowing that it exists and that it's just it's a pathway for me to experience. Maybe it's not exactly what we will experience when we die, but there's some knowing that, oh, I really am that held. And when I practice, and I open myself up to spirit in that way, I can feel that. And in just the experience that I've been experiencing, the amount of love that I feel from my beloveds is just beyond, it really has allowed me to realize and to be able to say, I am loved. And this is, I mean, it's so hard to have that come so clearly upon something like that. That's why I want to give to everybody now that sense of like, oh my God, if you only knew that you were so loved. So is it exactly the same? I kind of don't think so, but I think we can get flavors of it and live our life in that way. But you have to open to it, right? And you have to trust it. And I'm sort of trusting something that is not, I can't fathom, but I know and I feel. And I'll say this again, you have to get out of your own way of the doubt that you're lovable. Right? That's what almost I think all of us struggle with at some point, is the place that stops it, that says, yeah, everybody else, but and that's the place we want to keep coming back to, that says, actually, all of us.
May I comment from the video screen? Can you hear me, Tor?
So I'd like to take a 10-minute silent break. And as you know, my bathrooms are open in my house and here. So just, if we could just stretch your legs for a moment, use the restroom if you need to. And let's stay in silence, so we really kind of stay in this place. And I just invite you to stay, when you walk around, sometimes it's like to stay connected to your breath and your body, to sounds, just to the sense of really being here. Bow. So there's somebody, I guess one of, excuse me, one of you, Jenny, hi Jenny, has something she wants to say. Can you just read it? Oh, it's not there yet. Do you want to, Jenny, do you want to unmute yourself and then just say it?
Hi there. Sorry, I was off screen. Can you hear me, Tor?
Now I can, yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's a feedback. Okay, let's see if I can remember. You were talking about facing, can't hear me?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
You were talking about facing near-death experience and how your research years ago and also your experience this time is that what really becomes clear is the great love. And I just wanted to say that I also have experienced that when I was facing a life-threatening illness a few years ago. There was just this incredible outpouring of love kind of from all corners of my life. And it was incredibly healing and peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, there's nothing to do. I'm totally held. I don't need to strive. I don't need to be different than I am.
Mm-hmm.
There was a just total permission of myself to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, now that I'm not in that same health status, I can feel how that outpouring isn't as tangible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious about that and how we are able to really pour love towards someone when their life is threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you have an ability to talk about that. I mean, what I make up is it's almost like the amount of love I feel for all the people in my life is so overwhelming that I almost am unable to express it unless they're at the edge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it comes pouring out of me almost accidentally, or not accidentally, but it just sort of catches up with me or something. I'm wondering if you can talk about that.
That's so great. I've been contemplating that a lot, Jenny. Thank you for bringing that up. Did everybody hear the gist of what you're saying? In short, and Jenny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the primary thing is, when we're in a time of our own knowing of our death, there's and others know it, there's an outpouring of love towards us, and we can really feel it. And same thing, vice versa. It's very easy to give love when we know someone is going to die. And what happens? How do we tap into that love when we're not in that kind of nearing death experience? What I have come to is that for right now, anyway, I can say that the love that I am experiencing is like a web that is holding me. And it feels incredibly supportive and just like you're saying, the sort of necessity in that I don't have to do anything. There's a sense of freedom. There's a sense of like I'm being held so that I can do my work right now. My work of my dying, my work of my service. And the more that I look at, I mean, do I wish that we could give that kind of love to everybody? I just don't think we can. And I'm really super honest about that. I've looked back at the places where even the people who were dying in my life, who I think, God, I wish I had given them more. I held back in some way out of a sense of my own selfishness of my own life, not knowing as I do now, then how necessary it is for someone to feel that love to do their work. Mm-hmm. And what I come to is I have a lot of room or forgiveness for our humanity, that we live in such a busy culture that there isn't space for that. I think if we lived in a village, there were fewer of us, that was what our life was about, we would do that more consciously. But even then, I think the way we're developed is that, and I'm going to talk about this later, but I'll just say it right now, that in Buddhism, we talk about, all of our practice is about practicing for death. And I think we kind of drive that home because we know that we just are constantly forgetting. And I'll say more about that later, but I actually just am in a time of forgiving myself and forgiving, I'll start with myself, just that there's a sense that I give myself permission that I cannot be as open to everybody around me in that way that is so complete when we know that they're going to die. And I think there's something about, just for me, the knowing, though, how do I stay connected to love? How do I bring that into my consciousness as much as possible? Meaning that I am showing that I live from my heart. And that's the best I can do, is to live from my heart more and more and more each day. And the way that I tap into that is through just simple gestures of love, even if that's not coming back to me, that sense of that loving. And when I go for a walk in the woods and the tree leaves are waving in the wind, there's a way that I kind of wave back, and greet things and love things and say hello to the nighttime oogly booglies. It's like there's a way that I'm just greeting my life with a sense of love in everything that I do. And that in and of itself opens up farther and farther and farther and farther. And that's why I'm saying in the beginning part, when I was saying we need to go beyond the naming mind to be able to rest in the heart of knowing. So does that help at all, Jenny?
It does. Thank you.
You can talk. You're not muted.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to do another little sitting, and I'm going to guide us through the sittings. I want to, I want you to know that there's a reason for the madness, right? There's a reason why we are sitting together. So we are not just the finger pointing at the moon, but we actually become the moon together. And that intimacy that can happen with that. It's also so that you begin, I know so many of you are such deep practitioners, but that sense of getting to know the source because when we're dying, we will have to give up everything. And we on some level, I don't think in our humanity we can ever be fully prepared for that. But when we're giving up everything, we have to know what we're not giving up, right? Where we're heading towards, what we're connected towards. And that's why I want to practice together. So we just know, we know where to go with that. And I'll speak more about that in a little bit. So again, just find your comfortable upright position. Let your eyes close if you would like, or with a downward gaze. And bring your awareness again to that jellyfish-like breath, that big sweeping, deep and gentle breath that is actually more our natural breathing, but we have become so tight in our breathing that we hardly breathe. This is what we were designed to do, is this kind of breath. Feeling that breath all the way down to your pelvic floor, to your toes, and all the way up to the top of your head. While nestling your pelvic floor against your cushion or your chair. There's a pause, a natural pause at the end of the out breath, when the body is fully oxygenated before it needs to take another breath to get more oxygen. That could be very, very short, or it could be actually a few seconds. Just begin to notice that natural gap. Don't try to lengthen it per se. Don't strain and become out of breath or tense. Just notice. And in that gap, just relax even a little bit more. Just rest. In fact, look directly at the silence and the stillness in that gap, in that place where the you might actually fall away. And there's just life, just experience. If you begin to resist anything or to tighten or solidify, just relax again. Don't worry that it's arising. It's not a problem. Just relax again into the sound of life around you and your breath in your belly. Really bring your awareness low down in your belly. Just let it rest there. And in that gap, that pause, see what it's like to just relax into not knowing. I don't know. Keep orienting to the quiet in that gap, this little death. You're safe. orienting towards the quiet stillness. You might notice if you really go deep enough that you can feel it. It's permeated into your cells. Sense it. And relax even more. Let your face let go. Let your hands, fingers, and your toes let go. Nothing to resist, nothing to grab hold of. Just this. And now I want you to, with your eyes closed and just staying in this quiet place, I want you to imagine that you've been told that you are going to die. Not sort of the existential, yeah, we're all going to die, but you really are being told, you're being given the diagnosis that you're going to die relatively soon. And I want you to just see what happens in your body and your mind when you just even let the hint of that in. And can you relax again? Back into that vast, quiet stillness. And I'd like to have you ask the question of yourself, and this is without looking for an answer. So don't use your mind for this. Just sense, just pose this question that I'm going to ask, and just feel in your body the answer without going looking. And just rest. If there is no sensation, just rest. Am I living the life I want? Am I living the life I want? We're not going into details of this or that. We're just sensing what the intuitive body feels inside when we ask that question. You might notice that might be a feeling of openness, settled, or tight. Maybe there's a lump in your throat or your chest, or maybe there's confusion. Just noticing the feeling. Am I living the life that I want? Am I living from my conditioning and the shoulds? Or am I living what is true and intuitive? And again, just sensing. There may be a part of you that feels a sense of yes, and there may be a part of you that feels like there's something not quite in line. Just sense it. Am I living from a place of fear? Do I feel a sense of freedom? Or do I feel trapped or stifled in some way? Just see what your body feels like when I say it. Now I want you to imagine what you might think about right before you die. Will there be regret? What you missed out on, or what you wish you had done different, or what might be unfinished? Or do you feel joy for living fully and honestly and close to the bone? Or what is it that I want deep insight into before I die? What do I want deep insight into? What am I resisting in my life right now? What am I resisting? Where can I bring more tenderness to myself? Now letting everything go and coming back into this easy breath. Once again, aware of that gap at the end of the out breath and just resting in your low belly. Notice in that gap that there is a physical ending of the breath as you enter into that gap, but there is an energetic breath that continues for a bit longer into that gap. Just notice that. Like there's a momentum. Let it take you there. Beautiful. So in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism, we often offer what's called torma, which is traditionally a little cake. But we symbolically use whatever we find lovely. David, can you turn on the 3 shrine lights and the Christmas lights? Christmas lights. And so I have my torma is some almonds. And often we start, if you could do the 3 shrine lights too. That we offer, thank you. Yeah. So often we start a retreat, or at any time, I do this every morning, so I offer it as a possibility that you might do also, is that we invite in everything. So we invite in that we're excited about, that we love, that we are touched by, that we find beautiful. And we also invite in everything that we are just humiliated by, that we are embarrassed by, the thing that we said the other day, the wars, the pandemic, which is pretty amazing that we're all sitting here like this. It's really mind-blowing. I keep forgetting what we've gone through. But we invite in equally, and we offer it a little cake. So not only are we saying to it, you're invited here, but we're saying, we will actually turn toward you and offer you equally, just like the image of equanimity, that we will offer to you in that way, that so that every day when you do this, there's a way that we open to life, right? We open so freely so that it's not like we're just trying to turn towards what feels good. And there's something in that, like in your question, Elise, that we it frees us up somehow. So in the middle of the night, if we say, you're invited too, this feeling that of such discomfort can be profoundly helpful. So this will be offered, like Kathy, after we're done, we go out and offer it to the land. When you do this, don't offer things that other beings will get sick on, like chocolate and things like that. So, and so I'd like to take a moment and just let you contemplate what we just did, the questions, and I'm going to say them again. And if you want to write in your journal for a little bit, if you want to just sit in silence, we'll just take a little bit of time. Would that be helpful if I just read some of the questions that I said? So I said, imagine that you've been told that you're going to die. And ask the question without looking for an answer, am I living the life I want? Am I living from my conditioning and the shoulds, or am I living what is true and intuitive? Am I living from fear? I asked you to imagine what you might think about right before you die. Would there be regret about what you missed out on? What might be unfinished? Would there be joy for living fully and honestly and close to the bone? Or I asked, what is it that I want deep insight into before I die? Bless you. And I asked, what am I resisting in my life right now? We'll just take some time. What am I resisting in my life right now? Close these windows and leave the door open until it starts to rain. Yeah. When it close one of the windows, and then if it starts to rain, we'll have to close the door in case the rain comes in. But just close one of those right now. I want to add to that also is, where are you still wanting to please others? Which is just part of the conditioning, but I think it's important to name it. So this calls for a lot of time and consideration. But I'd love to hear what's coming up for people, some of the, just anything that comes up, feelings in your body, insights, questions. And please, if you were saying something out loud, please say it quite loud to see if we can put somebody in the room that looks like they're wanting to get on here. So if anybody feels like sharing, yeah,
I think
loud.
knowing that my death would be imminent, having that knowledge would make me want to go on some sort of like a truth tour, like wanting to tell my truth to everyone that I cared about and those that I didn't, those that I had issues, like to like clarity, want to clarify everything. And that feels quite scary to do without knowing that you get to exit stage left sometime soon.
Thank you. Was that her? Okay, good.
Just one thing that is striking me is the feelings that came up for me in the bookended questions. What do you feel with a diagnosis or with this knowing that you're going to die and soon? And then the last one then there was, what do you feel? What do you imagine feeling right before death? Right before you die? And both of those were just as a surge through my body was love and love more and gratitude. And so much of what came up for me in all the questions in the middle, are you living the life you want? Are you living out of conditioning with not living the life I want? Too many shoulds, too many this, too many that. But somehow the frame that those came first and last was like, yeah, and a lot of work to do.
Thank you. Jeff?
For the first three questions, am I living the life I want? Am I living from shape or from truth and intuition? And am I living from fear? I'm now in the inquiry of answering all three of them. Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. But in the answering of that, I think the poignant part is then that resting in deeper and deeper, not to go, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to change it. But what I'm finding is this sense of like, instead of what am I doing wrong, just keep listening to the thoroughfare of where there's a yes. And that's where I put my attention, not on the problem and the should, but just keep feeling into that. And one of the things that I'm aware of that just came to me again as we were doing this is that there is, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer and closer to living out of the place of truth, but there's something in there that is amiss, and I can't name it. Amiss.
Yes.
Amiss. I can't name it. I can't find it, but I can feel that it's something I'm doing that is not, it's not true. There's something in it, and it's has me so curious right now about this because it's a feeling in my body that I might not ever do it, but does that make sense? Like, does everybody kind of have, or somebody have that? It's something that's just slightly off. And so I invite all of us like to really hang out with that. Don't try to figure it out, but just hang out in it and see what is that? And see if what I'm doing is just like kind of being audaciously fierce and kind of just seeing what's that like? And it's so freeing. And I get closer to the feeling of like that feeling moves through a little bit. But there's still something that I think is unnameable that I would love to just keep talking about and feeling into with people. Anyway, yes.
When you asked, are you living the life you want? When I like let that sink in, what came up is, am I living the life that wants me?
Yeah.
Like that there's something calling us all for, like, am I aligning with the call?
Can you say that again? Because you said that so beautifully. Can you say it really loud?
Okay, really loud.
Really loud.
I'm sorry, it might be a little awkward loud, but when I allowed the question, am I living the life I want, to settle in my body, what came up was, am I living the life that is wanting me, that is calling me forth? Am I aligning with that call?
Yeah.
Because it feels mutual. It's not just like me and my thing and
Yeah.
where I'm going and what I want, but what is this life that's calling me forth? And am I listening? Am I receiving?
Oh my God, that makes me want to cry. I mean, it's just hit so close to home, that sense that I think we all, I mean, when we talk, I mean, in Buddhism, we don't talk about the soul very much, but I talk about the soul because I do think that that is sort of when I feel like I'm like living from that soulful kind of place. I'm in direct alignment with what that call is, you know? And there's, you know, that there's a sense that it's pulling me, that call is pulling me. Let's go back here. You know, and that's that listening. You know, I say in when I'm teaching a lot, you're the right person in the right place in the right time. And there's a huge relief when we can just go, I'm the right person in the right place at the right time. And when we really sit in that, there's also like the deeper level of that is that place where we're in alignment with something, right? And that's when I say, we just have to listen. And we can't listen while we're running around trying to dissociate. So we have to listen, and the way we listen is by sitting in the midst of the calamity and the silence and the, you know, and that's why I have us keep meditating, is so that we can, that we do not find from here, the naming mind. Thank you so much, it's great.
When you pose the question, where am I still trying to please others? Like there was this immediate response of no. The question that sunk was, where am I still wanting to please ego? You know, where am I still feeding this sort of this helper that thinks he can save me, or that they can save me? And I know that it's connected to others and things like that, but nobody else knows that it's all going on up here, and it's so much. So that it was just interesting, like the rapidity with which it was just like, that's not the question. But for this mind and body, right now, that's
Okay. What and what would be the way through that?
to keep seeing it. To feel like, to very clearly keep seeing that and the response of course, like yes, you know, I see that, I know that what you're trying to do is, you think you are being helpful, and I see that.
Yes, and thank you. And thank you to it. And thank you. Yes, it tends to relax a little bit more if we thank it. Thank you. It's great. And there really is, I mean, this morning I was taking a little walk, and I could feel the place of, as soon as the naming egoic mind that wants to polarize, and there was a sense that that's what I asked myself the question, that's what I would have regretted if I lived my life from there. somebody over here, thank you.
Yeah. I also had a different question that came up, which was, what's stopping me from living the life that I want now? And those might have been implied in the, questions about conditioning or pleasing, which don't feel like it. But since your diagnosis, that's been the question that I've brought to myself is, what is stopping me from living as, cleanly, honestly, fearlessly? And I'm just sitting with that.
Yeah. It's great, thank you.
I have been diagnosed with a, and I've been told weeks to months. I'm at peace with it pretty much, and I feel incredible love everywhere. It's overwhelming and beautiful and lovely. I think, and I feel tremendous gratitude because I've had a wonderful life and feel very, 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 very lucky. And I feel lucky to be here right now. This is I think what that sort of hangs there is not knowing. I have 4 little grandchildren, 3 11-year-olds and a 14-year-old. I so want to give them a gift that will matter. And not a gift, but a gift, a bigger gift. And I don't know what that is. And I guess that's what is most weighing on me.
I can say from my own experience is people have said to me, you're not the teacher anymore, you're the teaching. And I think what the gift you give them is just living your life, who you just are, who you just spoke. That is the gift you give them. And I think there's something about just the beauty of who you are, it just emanates out of you. That's the gift you give. And I just would love them so much. And that's,
Thank you.
yeah. I sometimes think that it's like riding the razor's edge. And if we get off of that into trying to do something, we miss the mark of just being with them. Right? Just being you. But if anybody has a better answer for it.
Well, the words that came to me is the gift is you.
That doesn't feel like enough somehow.
And there lies the conditioning, right? That my being here and my being myself is somehow not enough, not justified. And I see nods going. Because there's I mean, as a therapist, and I'm sure all the therapists that are in this room know this themselves, but I would say one of the most common things that I hear is, if you only really knew me, what goes on in here. Sort of similar to what you were saying. If you only knew what goes on in here. And that's why I think we have to go, that is not a problem. The problem is this belief somehow that we have to keep achieving something. We have to do something for our 4 grandkids so that they could remember us. That is a heartbreaking statement.
Well, somewhat similar but different is when you asked, what are you resisting? The first thing immediately that came to mind, sorry, I'm not projecting, because I'm trying
You're
to.
good, you're right there.
Okay,
You're good.
Like immediately was intimacy and mostly just like with myself, like truly like sitting and just being in your gift of just who you are rather than doing.
Yes.
And doing more because you're trying to strive and creating that space to be like fully, yeah, intimate and invite in that immense love that like often I feel pretty shut off from. And how I think I resist that because it feels so almost foreign or scary or unbelievable that I just, it's easy to get distracted.
Absolutely.
And then cling to the things that feel that help keep me distracted. Yeah.
Yes, yes, totally. Thank you. Well, that about wraps it up. And that's just like, are you guys okay with closing that door? Because, okay, great, thank you. That's exactly it, is that it's the intimacy with existence, which is us, thus allowing us to have intimacy with all being. And I hear you that it can be terrifying to make the space to have that intimacy. And yet when we do, we realize, you know, there's nothing to be afraid of. But that it's a fear of fear, you know, this fear that we'll need something that we can't tolerate. And I think our spiritual life is really about learning how to tolerate our humanity. And when we learn we can tolerate our humanity, the world opens up. Thank you.
Question from my sister.
Oh, good.
Hi, Mark. Mark asks, can you explain more about what you mean by disassociate? I'm having trouble with the concept.
Thank you. Well, I'll speak from my own experience. So when I think about riding that knife edge and I fall into the side of dissociation, I would say it's more when I go into getting busy, not feeling, when I shut down and I'm numb to the world, when I go into my habitual patterning, is a way of dissociating so that I don't have to actually be with my experience of my life. And the other side, the resistance side, is just that sense of where I'm fighting what I'm aware of what's happening, but I'm fighting it. The dissociative side to me is more numbing out to life through, for me, and I think it is the case for most people, it's through my habitual patterns. That is a way that I just put my blinders on and I don't have to feel or experience or think about anything. And I really notice that for me when I'm like trying to get things done and I'm sitting at my desk and I can feel the place that says, there's a voice that comes up that says, you are exhausted, stop. And I push through. And that is in the dissociation for me. I would imagine everybody here has some understanding of their own dissociation that you do, some way that you check out. Does that help? You want to see the dissociation? What's that? Can you look around you, Mark. He's bowing. Oh, he's bowing.
Tori, I just have a comment from Erin Whitbeck. Hi, Erin. Erin says the world opens up if and when we can tolerate our humanity.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share a little experience I had that doesn't directly address your questions, but I did have a number of years ago a near-death experience. I wasn't in the process. I didn't actually start to die and have an out-of-body experience or go through a passageway, but I've had a really bad car accident with multiple injuries, including collapse in both lungs. And I was taken to a hospital in Taos where I worked. And as people were busy, someone would acknowledge our friendship and some were afraid to go near me. And it occurred to me that I was dying.
Speak up, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm a little hoarse. Yes. So I actually asked that question of myself and of the care providers, am I dying? And they couldn't answer me. But the experience I had in that moment was not having fear.
Yes.
And it was an acceptance and kind of almost like, wow, what am I gonna experience?
Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm glad you lived to be here. Yeah. But you just remind me of something that for me right now, the greatest gift is my curiosity. Is staying curious about, as if you're a participant, but you're also a witness in this process that's unfolding. So there's a way that in that this sort of curiosity about like, what will it be like? And when I have to have in my back pocket the noble spiritual option of taking my life. And sitting where I am now, I imagine I probably will take my life before I'm not gonna go on a respirator, or I'm not gonna go on a feeding tube. So I would imagine that there'll be a point where I would make that choice. But when I think about how much curiosity I have, I imagine I'll probably want to live a lot longer than I think, because I'm so curious about the process. And I don't feel any fear of death. I do feel fear about the process of losing my mobility and my ability to move. There's just natural, of course, there's fear of my humanness, but it's having that curiosity. And I think that what I'm hearing you say is that in that moment of death, in some way, that curiosity just takes over. And it's like we're way more curious than afraid.
I was not afraid.
Yeah.
So I harbor that, so.
Well, and that is what in all the near-death experiences, that's what everybody said. That in that moment of death, and I questioned myself right there because when my mother died, I could tell she, my sisters are on here hiking. That there's a way that she fought so hard because she just wasn't ready to leave the party. She just wanted to stay. But I've wondered, in the moment of death, when of course we have been like glued to her side, we left the room and she died, which is very common. Of course, that's going to happen. I wondered, did she find that peace in that moment? And I think so. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thinking about what I might feel that I was missing or I had missed if it was the moment of death, so I'm looking out your window here. And there's a tree and a rock, and then there's mountains, and then there's mountains beyond the mountains, and then there's mountains beyond those mountains, and they keep being more and more in mist, particularly with the rain. And it kind of reminds me of what I'm thinking about my life. I lived my life day to day. I loved my life and my family and the trees and the birds and the sounds. And I'm not sure if I'm getting what the spiritual part of it is, or it's out there too far, and I don't know if I'm living a full life or not. I don't know how to answer that question to myself.
Are you happy?
Generally, very.
Sounds good to me. I mean, honestly, like I think we know on some level, and everybody's different, but I think for some people there's no more to do, right? And I think it's when we stop seeking and we realize what we're seeking for is right here. We already have it. That's when we actually find the peace to die, right? And so if there isn't a longing to see the mountain that's out there, but what's right here, I think that sounds really healthy. My that thing that's there that says not quite, there's something amiss is, I'm curious about what you're saying, like what is that is there, what is there a seeking, or is it that there actually is something that I'm still, for me, it feels like they're still around my conditioning. And it's still around some piece that is just holding me back a nudge that I think I would free up, that I'm curious about that. But I mean, what I hear from you is that you're just a happy person.
Well, and I am curious, though, you have opened up windows to me, for which I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how this is gonna come out, but when you asked the very first question, if I was told I was going to die, I had a diagnosis. I did have a diagnosis of advanced cancer some years ago, and it so happened I lived. So I did a lot of work back then. When you asked that question today, I initially had a little bit of a contraction freeze, and then it was like, oh, absolute relief, you know. And I almost felt embarrassed, like, really, is this okay? But I recall the level of letting go, the level of aliveness, the level of beauty in that experience 10 years ago. That's kind of gotten a little foggy now.
Totally.
And I long for it.
I hear you. Yeah, did they hear that? Yes, okay. Oh, I think you're just hitting something on the head. And this is why, you know, the whole thing about Buddhism teaches about practicing for death. And yet, we don't take it seriously. And I've thought about this so much in the last few weeks. I actually think evolutionarily, I don't think we can. I think we hold it as a existential knowing, but to really hold it like Carlos Castaneda talked about, you know, living with death on our left shoulder. I think there's some evolutionary part of us that if we actually did that, I think there's some part of us that just goes, we can't do that. And you're right, that's the beauty of getting a diagnosis. I mean, I tell you, I wake up in the morning and things are crystal clear, right? I mean, there's no fogginess. It's just like I look outside and man, is that grass green. It is really super green. But it's super green, you know, and it's like, there's a feeling inside of this aliveness and this urgency. And that urgency is, makes me anxious sometimes because I think, oh my God, am I going to be able to do that before next year when I think I'll probably be in a wheelchair? And will I get to that, or will I get to that? And that's where I have to cleave. The cleaving of going, that's not going to save me. It will be beautiful if I can do it, but it's not what will save me. But I think in that place that there's sort of a grief when that starts to recede. And I think we have to go, of course, right? And also go, when I sit, do I sit in that place of that level of letting go? That's why I think working with the resting in the out breath, in that pause, the gap at the end of the out breath, there's something of that little death that allows us to keep returning to that. But all I can say is I completely get it. I thought, what if they came back now and they said, it's a joke. You're fine, you just stubbed your toe. I go, wow, that would be so shocking because I actually have, it's set me on this path. So, again, not that I'm like super psyched about dying, but I'm just saying that there's a precious aliveness that comes from it. Yeah. And there are times, and you know, I mean,
I don't want to belittle the amount of grief that I have that waves over at times with the thought of saying goodbye. That just. I had written here that when we are disconnected from source, and we're connected through source through the body, I want to keep reminding us of that. Access that through your sense perception. That's the gateway. As in this human form, that is our gateway, is through our sense perception. That then opens us into that is beyond the naming mind, right? That is through into that is that vast source. But when we're disconnected from that, then death is terrifying. It is terrifying from the human egoic part. And so we won't know what to do in the time of death if we don't practice. And everybody will have their own form of practice. But I really believe that if we don't carve that path, we will get lost. That's why the whole teaching is about the bardo, that we have that choice, and that the bardo can be incredibly confusing and wild and distracting, because all the things that are unresolved in us get very, very strong, right, at the moment of death. And even in the near-death experiences, it kind of, some people had it much stronger than others, is the experience of going through a very confusing time. And but if they stayed, and all of them, which is just remarkable to me, had the experience of going through a tunnel with light, right? So in Buddhism, we talk about keep your eye on the ball, like just keep your eye on that light and don't get distracted. But how do we learn how to not get distracted? Our life is a distraction, and unless we're doing something that is working with what we've been talking about today. Make it so simple. Just keep coming back into that relationship, to that quiet, which is that silence that is there, that stillness that's there.
Sorry,
I do. It's a place they can't hear.
well, Brett couldn't. Brett, do you have a something to talk?
Can I talk? Come in.
Okay, good.
So one thing that I have learned is that life, from a human perspective, is inherently disappointing. Right? We just do not get what we want. And we're never going to get what we want. We'll get something temporarily, but we will not get something that lasts through that external source. Everything that we get from an external source will go away, or we'll tire of it. And so we either get what we don't want, or we get too much of what we did want, and then we don't want it anymore. So there's something that is so comforting to me to know that when I am disappointed, that is the natural state, often, of our humanness, and that there isn't a problem. The problem is is living in the disappointment, thinking that there's a problem. Right? It's knowing that it is just inherent that we will be disappointed from that human place. And I think of it as that there are two drivers. There's the ego and the soul, and 99% of the time the ego is driving, and the ego is going to be disappointed. From the soul's perspective, it's like what we were talking about. There's a sense of sort of curiosity around it being disappointing. So get used to it. And in the getting used to it, there is actually this sense of this freedom, getting used to or getting perspective about anything. And in that sense of the disappointment, we will all make so many mistakes. And I say, don't regret your mistakes that you've made, because they are what brought you to the room. And
there's a sense that I'm getting how important it is to let go of your regrets. If there's something to change, change it. If there's nothing to change, let go of the rest. That's the sifting. And I can't say that enough. I hear so much in the work that I do, the spinning of the regret and the spinning of the I should, I shouldn't, if only. And that to really, really come down to, if it's something to change, change it. And if you can't change it because it is too hard, that's okay too. But then let go of the mind fuck. And the regrets when in the working with people who, I've worked with a lot of people who have died, is that you will take your regrets all the way down to the very last moment. And so I would rather all of us work with letting go of those regrets now because they're so painful. And so to really ask yourself, can I let go of the past, of what has happened? Can I bow to the mistakes of the things that I have made? And that, may I change what can be changed? The whole thing of what's that quote? You know, all know it. Yeah, the Serenity Prayer. And that there is a sense of forgiving ourselves daily. And forgiving those around you. I can imagine all of you, I hope you all, because I have this, where if I'm not paying attention, you're rehearsing in your mind the things that the other person did that pissed you off. And the thing you might say to them, and you go over it and over it and over it and over it till you're ready to puke. And it's that you start to go, they are on a hard journey too, and they're gonna die. So I'm just saying the things that feel so important. Let go of regrets, forgive yourself, forgive others in your life. Offer torma, so that you are offering this sense of, you're inviting in the people that are hard for you, or you invite in the things that they've done, the things that you've done that are so painful. Offer the torma to life and to them. So you're offering this to your resentments. You are either holding on or you're not. There's no in between. And Adi Ashanti has a prescription for when we feel like we're holding on. And that is to stop, Everybody just stop right now. To listen, just listen to the rain. And then let go, just relax. Stop, listen, and let go. Just relax. In Buddhism, we talk about the 6 realms. And we'll just talk, I'm just going to mention 2 of them right now. The animal realm and the human realm. And the human realm is a realm of passion. But we often live in the animal realm, which is, if you imagine a cow, which is just eating, drinking, fucking, sleeping, eating, drinking, fucking, sleeping, right? The cow is not contemplating its soul. It's just doing
trying to get away from the flies. It's trying to, find a place out of the heat. It's trying to get out of the wind. It's just doing that, what we say in the animal realm. It's just, there's not a lot beyond just taking care of its survival. But we often live in the animal realm. And I want to just keep suggesting, and I'm saying this to myself too, live in the human realm. Live in the realm of passion, which is what gets us into trouble and is what is the beauty of being a human, is that we can experience things, meaning that we can experience suffering enough that it wakes us up if we let it. But the passion realm is a realm of, there's this fierceness in this ability to feel so deeply. So watch when you find yourself living in that animal realm, and that's where the dissociation often comes. But to live in that realm where we're living life fully, we're here to experience our life. And if we're going to experience all the beauty of life, we're also going to experience all that is so painful. I read a poem. This is by Vicky Dessier. Vicky Dessier? I got this great poem from April recently, and I'm in love with them. So I have flung the door wide and I'm listening for the wind. In my house made of breath and heartbeat and sinews and love. My house made of sunrise and sunset and light and shadow. My house made of dreams and life. At times I dip my toes into the water, yet yearn to immerse fully. Be careful, echoes the whisper inside. Be careful, echoes the whisper inside. Be careful what you ask for, yet careful is not the answer to this yearning that is only sated by making life my lover. Careful is that little eddying pool over there stagnating, while the full rushing torrent of life beckons me to surf its wave, naked except for joy-besotted smile, which cannot hide in the clothing of fear, that one, the one that hides is on the beach picking up seashells and listening for the illusion that one is pretending that there is something called safety, which seems like as good an excuse as any to pretend and play house with the door locked. But now the door is flung open, and I am waiting for the stars to speak, waiting and listening, laughing and throwing off the fetters of a life carefully lived in exchange for a life truthfully lived.
Tori, can I read a comment from Melissa?
Please.
Says, I am so deeply struck right now with how consistent, constant your teachings have been. Smelling death at your door has not changed the teaching. It just seems to be more and more relevant.
Thank God I'm getting more relevant.
I have another question. The author says she feels kind of weird. Okay, she says, I have been doing a lot of Joe Dispenza's practices.
Yeah.
The idea being that we imagine what we want to call into our lives with heightened emotion, so the brain thinks it's already happened and calls it in. How does this fit in with your teachings, or doesn't it? Does everyone look different to you now? Does everything look different to you now? Would you throw a practice like this out right now, even if you had many more healthy years?
That's great. I love Joe's work. I think there's a lot of benefit to it. You just have to be careful what you're asking for. Because if you're asking for something external to save you, I think we're going to get stuck. And that's where this idea that we have the difference between hope, right? That in Buddhism, we talk about hope and fear being the same side, the two sides of the same coin. If we have hope, we're going to have fear. If we have fear, we're going to have hope. So there's a sense of, in my experience of Joe's work, is that there's it's living as if. So live the life that you want, but be careful about the life that you want. Because I think it can be very, very sticky if it gets, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an external physical thing that we want, or that there's a sense that it's, like I was saying, I don't want hope. I have a terminal illness. No one has ever survived ALS. They may have died by something else first, but they, so I'm not sitting here thinking, I'm gonna spend my life just meditating on that I'm gonna beat this thing, because it takes me away from the gift of what's happening. So I would say use Joe's work. I think there's some tremendous beauty in it, because what he's saying is live this, live it. Don't live in hoping for it. Live it like it's here. Be as it, be the change. Like live this and live as if. Does that make sense? I hope that does that make sense? Okay, hopefully that makes sense to the author. Do you want to, okay, well, let me know if it doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna just kind of wrap up something here, and then I just want to open it up to everybody else. Actually, I'm gonna open it up to everybody else, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So what else is wanting to be said or thought or felt or shared or questions or?
Are we sure that her mic is working? Because Brett says that when you started taking comments, it sounded like it was just coming through the computer. Okay.
Brett, it says that is everybody having a problem or just Brett?
So it's just that when that mic is on, so it's gonna be more accurate when this is off and it's on down.
Do we need to change it right now for others to
Well,
be speaking?
mine's still on.
Okay. Anybody have anything?
I'm curious, you said, it's gonna be hard to say goodbye. What comes up for you?
Well, the third thing that I thought about after I got the diagnosis was saying goodbye to my dog, who has just touched a place in me of such. I wish he was here. He's at his friends, because I thought it would be a little bit much for him. He'd be fine in here. It's just with all the cars, I thought maybe it would be hard. But there's something in that about the intimacy that I've developed that is like, there's just so much joy there. And it's the thought of saying goodbye to just the closeness of people. There's something in the natural world, and that there's something about I can feel the hunger inside for the desire to eat it and take it in, and that sense that I can take it in on some level only so far, and that I have to be willing to say goodbye to it, or I will hold on too much at the end. And so that's the cleaving of learning. Can I cleave now and still love? And it's hard, but I so want to, I don't want to cling, to that.
There was a comment from Jessica. I just keep thinking about dying beautifully as the gift for those we love.
Yes, it was so good. Yes. Oh. Does that make sense, Desiree? Nothing to say about that. Something just came in the chat. I see. Is there a chat that just came in?
Yeah, Melissa said, what was that?
Oh. Jessica says, I just keep thinking about dying beautifully is the gift for those we love.
That's funny, I thought she said dying beautifully is the gift for those who love.
Oh, it's interesting, but I think it's both. I think it's a gift for those we love, for them if we die beautifully.
And for those who love
us, yes, yes. And we love.
That's just like to solve the fear. I kept on saying, aren't you all freaking fearful? Like you're amazing. You just literally said, oh yeah, it's I don't feel afraid of death. And that just resolved everything. So thank you.
Read about near-death experiences and you will lose some of your fear about death. That's what changed it for me.
I'm wondering if you can speak, I guess it would be from your own personal experience, Tori, about, I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words, because I realize in this last comment, it kind of brought it to the surface for me even more. I'm so moved by your teaching as you. I love that. And I'm aware that the place I get a little hooked, a little like, not hooked, but like something unresolved for me around death is like, I don't know how to put it in the right words, but like when it does, when it just feels too unfair, because it's untimely, because it's like, I think I want to know something of, if you want to say about, I mean, I can imagine in myself that if I feel I've lived a really full life and maybe done some of the things or been present for some of the people long enough, but that's where it's going to be hard, that's where it's hard. And that's what I'm struggling with in just my own experience of witnessing and being with close people who have died, is that place of like, yes, it was this amazing meal, and at some point we just aren't going to get another course. And yet, can I just keep enjoying what there is, and the cleaving you're describing? And that's the one spot I'm like,
life is flexible, fickle, and ruthless.
I know.
And I would just say, that's the place where if you spend a second there, it'll eat you alive. This is where we have to just, honestly, I mean, for me, it's to say, and this is existence. It's not perfect. It doesn't come when we want. The whole teaching about Buddhism, you will die, you don't know when, and you don't know how. And it's not going to be pretty. And it's not pretty in the sense that we've got everything wrapped up into a nice package. And there's something about knowing that actually is, I think, is what keeps us right on the edge. Is that it is, there's something about that it not, oh God, I can just feel that sense in me of that, like that place that wants to get it all right somehow. That's all I can say. I say to myself every day, life is flexible, fickle, and ruthless, and there is something that is very freeing about that. Does that help at all?
Well, as you're speaking, I realize it's more a struggle about living than about dying.
Exactly. Yeah. Right on. So die every day. Every single day. And that's why in Tibetan Buddhism, the master will turn their cup over at the end of the day because they're in preparation for death to not wake up the next morning. So every day, turn your cup over. Can you end every day in that sense that I am complete? Right?
Well, I think there's something about not projecting onto the world what I imagine they're suffering or
Yes.
the things I would leave.
That's their work. That's their work, even if it's your daughter. Okay, I mean, really, that's their work, and they will find their way with all the beloveds around them. But there's a point in there, you know, you take care of the details. Like I've just spent the last 2 weeks taking care of the damn details. And you then have, that's the cleaning, is the trusting that life will take care of itself. Because if you keep it on the projecting, it actually, I think in a lot of ways, withholds both of you back.
This might kind of relate to what you were just saying in some ways. I'm noticing as I sit here, like just my sense of time with you just feels so precious. And as I'm, you know, like I feel like I slept relatively well. I'm relatively present here today. And I'm just so noticing like this urgency of like drink it in, everything out of it, like, and feeling just like the you know, the panic in that too, you know, like as if there would be like some sticking the landing on receiving the teachings from you.
You already stuck them. In the sense that you get exactly what you need, right? And that's where that sense of that, I often say when I'm teaching, like, don't listen with your mind, listen with your body. And then let go of everything I said when you walk out the door. Just love you so much.
It's funny, I've been thinking, you know, it's easy for me to say because I don't have the diagnosis, but I'm gonna be fine with, you know, dying. I'm not afraid of what I'm afraid of is losing my father. And I've noticed he's 86 now, and as I see him aging, I still can't keep up with him, but that I've been more clingy.
Yeah, so I know.
And I'm just, I guess I already know the answer, but I just need to hear. I feel like I should be preparing myself somehow, and then I get, no, just fucking love him as much as possible, be in the present moment, there's no preparing, but. What?
That sounds pretty good to me. And I think that I didn't think I could survive my mother's death. And lo and behold, you do. You do. And you find a way to go on. And that's the part you have to trust, that you will go on. You just love them so much. And of course, you want to hang on to it. I think we've done enough. So I just want to say, I think there's nothing else. I think the intimacy of being in a space like this where we are silent, where we talk about death, I just think is the most intimate thing that we can do. And I think when you sit in silence, that's where the rubber meets the road. And I kind of want to be your cheerleader and say, you can do this. We can do this. Just love you guys so much. Let's just sit for a moment. Just getting into the river of life in that flow of the breath. And put our hands to our heart in Anjali or just over our hearts. And we dedicate this time together and this practice and this discussion and our love for one another. We dedicate it to all beings who we're so intimately and so inseparably connected to. May we not forget this tremendous love and freedom and vastness that's around us, that is us. May we give permission for our humanity. May we keep talking about death. May we keep talking about what is it that might be holding us back in our lives. May we stay just close to the source, close to the center, close to the center. May we support each other along the journey. May we just let our hearts be broken open. So many blessings on all of our journey. Thank you. I'm gonna step out and Kathy's gonna just do a few announcements and I'll see you outside.
Not much to say other than, yeah, very sweet. And I will be at the table outside. If you want, if you're not on the email list and you want to be on the email list, well, I have all your, but let me know if you want to be on the email list, on the Golden Bowl email list, and I will do that. And, you know, Tori is going to continue offering monthly meditations, monthly little mini retreats, and they won't be this long. What we've been doing is 2 hours once a month. Yeah, and this might be something different, but so we can let you know about what's ahead if you're interested. And I will also, if anybody wants to make a donation, I will be outside to take that as well. And I think that's it. Many online retreats. And these include breathwork, meditation, and Dharma talks. So, you know, you're all welcome, and it's all via Zoom. So it's easy. We've been doing it. Yeah.
Just to say, probably everybody knows, but maybe not everybody, that there's a GoFundMe that's still active for Tori, and it's free if people want to give twice, or
right.
if you haven't given. There's a Can we say, Kathy, that people could write down if they want to get the link, or pretty much you can find it, right? Or paper or something.
Right. Can you? You can find it? Okay. And also it's, you can also send your donation by PayPal or Venmo if you don't want to do it today, or, yeah, that's available. So I think that's it. Yeah, I know that she announced them, that this is a recording, and I'm not sure what she's going to do with the recording. I'm hoping, yeah, I don't know what she's going to do with it, but maybe it'll come to all of us, everyone who's registered. But yeah, even if not, I will get a list of the poems from her. Yeah. Send it along. Yeah. You're welcome. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Bye, all of you. Jessica, Matt, Kendall, Terry, Kimmy.